Hello. Okay, Twisters, directed by Lee Isaac Chung. It's the standalone sequel to the 1996 movie Twister. A film that I haven't seen for a while now, but I remember really enjoying it. It's been a long time since I last watched that original movie, but I remember it coming out like it was yesterday, and I remember having an awful lot of fun with it. And the story of Twisters, the sequel, does share very similar beats to that original story, to that original movie. Where Twisters was really effective for me was in its moments of peril, in those moments of tornado-induced destruction. It was very fun and it was very thrilling, and a lot of it is down to how those moments were executed. The CGI is pretty effective. Like, don't get me wrong, it is CGI, but at the same time what they managed to achieve was almost give these tornadoes, these kind of, these monsters that's created by nature, they gave them almost an identity. Like, they felt like characters within this movie. They felt like actual living, breathing monsters that were out to destroy us. And the character and danger of these tornadoes are not only brought to life by the animation, which, they also do a really good job at sort of injecting character into these different tornadoes throughout the movie, but it's also through the sound design, which really allowed me to buy in to the danger that is occurring on the screen with our characters. Like I said, they do a really good job at giving these monsters of nature character, and that tied in very nicely with a moment within the third act at a cinema, and they're watching the horror classic Frankenstein, and I loved how that entire scene played out. It gave me goosebumps, and it kind of really sort of highlighted what I really liked about what they were doing with this aspect of the movie when it comes to the destruction and sort of the peril that our characters are put under. At the same time, you've got our characters that just get an absolute thrill at chasing these things. And like I said, yeah, it's fun. These moments, this is where the movie really excelled for me and was really effective. And these moments gave me goosebumps. It was thrilling and it was exciting. My biggest issue with this movie was the human aspect of the story and how these characters' relationships with each other evolve through this story. And a big part of that, I felt, was down to the writing. At times it felt quite clumsy, and it just felt like they were trying too hard to replicate what came before with that original movie when it comes to injecting heart and having this kind of very grounded human story. The attempt is there, but it's almost like they're trying too hard, and as a result, through the writing, it was very mechanical and wooden. And a lot of that is reflected in certain performances. Not everyone's, but certain, and I will touch on that in a moment. In moments, the writing felt like it was devoid of soul or emotion. Like, the intentions are there, and this shows in how the movie is set up with our main characters. But for me, it's the writing that kind of really just played a big part in not allowing this human aspect of the story to really work. And the chemistry between our leads just really wasn't there for me. The standout for me when it comes to performances is Glen Powell as Tyler Owens, this tornado wrangler. I really liked what he did with the character. It almost has this kind of Han Solo or Indiana Jones vibe about it, but also at the same time it felt very natural. Like, it feels like he's not ripping off another famous character. It feels like his own, like he's created this character himself, and it just felt natural. And I found myself really liking and rooting for this character as a result of Glen Powell's performance and how he brought the character to life. There was a hint of nostalgia to it, along with many other aspects of this movie. Like, it has all the ingredients of a classic summer blockbuster. And even though Glen Powell's performance felt familiar, it still felt like it had its own identity. It felt original. It felt like it was Glen Powell's own creation, doing his own thing, but at the same time it had that kind of nostalgic element to it, and I just found myself really gravitating towards the character as a result of his performance. I liked what he was doing, I liked how he delivered the lines, and he was one of the very few characters that I could really root for and get behind when it came to these stories, these characters' journeys. The weakest performance for me, and a performance that kind of really affected sort of how I felt towards the human element of this story, and that is Daisy Edgar-Jones. She plays Katie, and she just ended up feeling really out of place. Like, I do feel like this character was miscast, unfortunately, because I don't know what it was she was doing with the performance. At times it felt quite wooden, and I was like, is that in part due to the writing? But she just felt her character and sort of her character's evolution through the film, and sort of these relationships that she would build with these characters, like Glen Powell's character, for example, it all just felt really kind of disconnected, and it just didn't work for me. And her character plays a pivotal role in this attempt at creating this very kind of grounded human story, and I really like the setup with this character. But another issue with the story was it kind of loses focus on this aspect of the character in regards to her history, where she ends up, and sort of her journey throughout this movie as she becomes acquainted with Glen Powell's character. And it all, as a result, through the writing and her performance, emotionally it kind of really just lacked the weight that I felt like it needed, and I just couldn't really get emotionally wrapped up within this journey as a result. And I think a big part of that is not just the writing, but unfortunately the performance and how Kiernan Shipka brought this character to life. It just really didn't work for me, and there was just no chemistry there between these characters. And to just go back on what I touched there for a moment with them losing focus on a certain aspect of this story, you know, there is an attempt at injecting heart into this movie. There is this kind of attempt at creating a very grounded, emotional human story, and the setup is quite strong, but they really do lose focus of that as the story plays out. It's just the way in which these characters' journeys sort of evolve through the narrative. It just really didn't end up feeling natural, and just how this character would evolve through the film, it just didn't feel right. And a lot of that is down to the writing and the performance and just how it kind of played into the overall story. The attempt is there, the intentions are there, and I appreciated that, but ultimately it really lacked the impact I felt like they were hoping for when it comes to these characters' journeys and their stories. There is this 90s aesthetic to the movie. A lot of that is achieved through the writing, the narrative, and just the story in general. In many ways this did feel like a retread of that original movie. Like I said, when it comes to the story itself, it has very similar beats to that original movie, and in many ways that isn't a bad thing, or it wouldn't be a bad thing, but it doesn't work here, and that's because they fail at that human element of the story. They fail to really give us something that is truly different, unique, but something that we can really connect to on an emotional level, where we can really get wrapped up in these characters' journeys. And unfortunately, even though they achieve an awful lot when it comes to what this movie is, like, it has all of the ingredients that makes a classic fun summer blockbuster with that dash of nostalgia. You know, this was fun, I did enjoy it, and the moments of peril are executed really well. You feel the intensity of the danger approaching our characters, and all of those aspects of this film, of this story, work. You know, it's corny, it's cheesy in places, so it does take me back at times to a certain era of film that kind of really gives me these kind of nostalgic, warm, fuzzy feelings. But there's no point in trying to recapture that magic if you haven't pinned down the human element of its story and have allowed that to really come to life and really work. And that was my major issue with this movie, was that aspect. And so even though I had fun and I did enjoy it, and it gave me warm, fuzzy feelings, and it gave me goosebumps in those moments of destruction, at the same time I was really severely missing the character and charm of what made that original special. And you know what? I never thought I'd find myself sitting here actually doing a review for a sequel to the 1996 movie Twister. And that's because the movie, in my opinion, really didn't need one. But you know what? I was always excited for this sequel. I love nostalgia. I love something that will just transport me back to a certain era of filmmaking that gives me warm, happy, fuzzy memories. And in many ways they achieve this year. But it also reaffirms that we really didn't need a sequel to that 1996 movie as well. And a lot of that becomes, for me anyway, personally apparent through the human aspect of this story. Yes, you can retread and sort of take us back, transport us back to that original film. But if we're not going to do something that's unique or, incredibly different with a character aspect, then it kind of just loses the weight and impact that I felt like it needs. So yeah, look, I did have fun with this movie. I did enjoy it. I recommend you go out and watch it on the biggest screen possible. I think many of you are going to enjoy this a hell of a lot more than me, or are going to perhaps dislike it a hell of a lot more than me. For me, I enjoyed it a lot. I had fun. Like I said, there's that element of nostalgia there. I really gravitated towards Glen Powell's character. I really liked what he did with his character through his performance. And there are moments that are fun, they are thrilling, they're exciting. There are moments that gave me goosebumps, especially that third act. I really liked how it all sort of just came together. But yeah, really kind of lacked sort of the character and charm of that original movie, and I just couldn't end up a feeling afterwards like, why did we have this sequel? It was always one of those movies that, I felt didn't really need a sequel. And then when they announced it, it was like, oh, okay, we're getting a sequel, but we don't need one. But you know what? I'm excited because I've got fond memories of that original movie. And so, yeah, enough rambling on from me. Do check it out. It is fun. They are my thoughts on Twisters, and I will be giving Twisters a 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, they're my thoughts on Twisters, but what do you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you prefer the original, or do you prefer the sequel over the original? Please let me know in the comments below, and let's get discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to watch future movie reviews from some random Welsh geek rambling on, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. My next movie review was supposed to be for In a Violent Nature. Unfortunately, I've struggled to catch a viewing of it last week. I'm still hoping to catch it this week coming, and I am hoping to still get a review up for you guys on that movie. I've been really looking forward to checking it out, but they've had some really kind of weird times when it comes to the screenings for that movie. But the next big movie release that I will be reviewing, that I'm also going to a midnight screening of, and that is Deadpool and Wolverine. It's been a long time since I've been excited or looked forward to a Marvel movie, and do you know what? I am really, really excited for this film. I feel the trailers have done an awful lot for that excitement. It wasn't until one of the most recent trailers. I have done a reaction to the trailer. I will leave a link below somewhere so you can check that out. And I'm really liking what I sense they are doing with these characters with this sequel. So yeah, really looking forward to Deadpool and Wolverine. And yeah, enough rambling on from me. Look, a big thank you to all those that are watching, that are subscribing, that are interacting with my videos. It means an awful lot. I'm hoping to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I still can't get over that I've got like over 350 subscribers. And yeah, just a big thank you to all those that have subscribed recently. I just can't get over how many would want to watch some random Welsh geek rambling on about film who could barely pronounce. But hey, that's me. So yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.